Can we move through into the 1980 period, which runs on from this, and the sidecar builds you did operate at such a high level, moving through into the 1980s when the World Championship 1000cc class was...
Dave Hiscock was pretty keen to ride one of the bikes.
Right.
He was pretty keen to see what we could do.
Right.
He'd ridden a Macintosh, one of Ken's Macintosh Suzukis overseas, did extremely well on it for a privateer.
Yeah.
He came back to New Zealand and wanted to do the next season, but he wanted to get some sponsorship. And I said, well, okay, Dave, I'll tell you what, we can build you I wouldn't make a tubular one, but I'll do a monocoque one in aluminium. And he said, oh, I don't know about that. And Steve London, his boss at the time,
Wellington Motorcycles.
Wellington Motorcycles. Yes. He said, well, we'll give it a go, give it a go. And we did give it a go.
Yeah.
We built an aluminium monocoque, which means the chassis was aluminium, no steel frame, it was all one, and the engine bolted into it. So the chassis was the tank was the chassis, and the engine bolted up into it. And we did it. Dave was, he was the most amazing character, that guy. Keen, determined, one of the most determined guys I've ever worked with. Anyway, we built the bike, we got it in here, we got it all together, had a few vice grips holding bits and pieces on, and Dave said, I've got to try it, I've got to try it. I said, come on, Dave, I've got the vice grips on, we've got to finish it. And he took it out with and he took it up the road, came back, and he said, yes, it's going to work. And so we finished it all off, took it down to Manfield for testing, and we took it out on the track. A few bits of noises in there, fix this, fix that, yes, oh good. How's it going? Pretty good, Dave, it's pretty good. And he then went out and he said, oh, just give it a final test. And he went out, I was on the pit straight, and there were two guys from Honda standing there with the stopwatches. And Dave went out and he did 2 laps. I thought, God, this boy's flying at the moment. It's on a completely brand new bike. And he came round the final sweeper into the main straight at an angle. I've never seen anyone come round like that. You know, and he came, wow. Jesus. And
what have I done?
I thought, I said to the Honda guys, oh, did you get a time on that? And they said, no, we didn't. they rubbished me. They wouldn't tell me how quick he was. But when he came in, the brakes, the front brake, disc brakes were blue. It was crinkling and cracking. I thought, Dave, that was a good one. He said, yes. Finish this one off, we'll take this to Europe. This is our bike.
Did it go to the Isle of Man?
Went to the Isle of Man.
And what happened there? Did he rode in the event?
He rode in Formula One and the, whatever they call it, the senior, I don't know what they call the other race, there were 2 races. I can't tell you where he got. I haven't got I can't remember these things. But the aluminium bike, he did pretty well on it. He was actually beating a lot of the factory riders over there. They were all factory enters. Suzuki, Kawasaki, and Honda were all top of the line riders on, and he was amongst them. Silverstone. He did all the British Championship, and he did the World Championship on the bike, on the aluminium monocoque. And he finished up 3rd in the British Championship and 3rd in the World Championship, which was pretty damn good in front of the factory stuff. Some other factory. But on the British Championship, the last race meeting was at Brands Hatch. And believe it or not, he was actually leading the British Championship on points. He had a fault with the bike, and he was in the race. He was actually didn't make the lead, and then he lost it and went back and back, and he ended up because of the fault with the bike, I think with electrical, it might be something.
Yes.
He ended up third in the championship.
Right. Right.
And
So near.
And the world championship in Portugal, Estoril, he was going very, very well. In fact, he could have been right up there.
Yeah.
And the bottom fairing on those bikes, it came undone, and they black flagged him, and he had to come in, pull the bottom of the fairing off, and he took off and finished the race.
Yeah.
But he ended up third in the championship as well, in the world championship, which was pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry
yeah.
about that. I didn't mean to blame.
No, thank you. That's a great. I'm sure many people will be very interested in that story, because that's right up there with
whatever you
the
think.
Kiwi. You know, the Kiwi guys getting out and having a go.
Yeah, but not only that. When he went over there, he had no money. A determined guy.
Yes.
He actually took the monocoque in the aeroplane as hand baggage.
Did he?
And Rod Coleman, of course, sponsored the whole deal.
Yeah.
And Rod sponsored. He got Pops Yoshimura, who was a grace tuner for the Suzuki team. You know, he got Pops to make a motor for it, which was flown over from America to England.
Wow.
And Dave came in from New Zealand with a hand baggage monocoque chassis, and he put them all together, living in a van, no sponsorship at all.
Yeah.
And when he put it together, he went down to Kent to Jeff Monty's place. Jeff Monty let him use his workshop.
Yeah.
And John Surtees was just round the corner. And John Surtees came in to see Dave and the bike.
Yes.
And he said, I can give you some fuel cell. It's a plastic type, like wire wool, but made out of plastic.
Yeah.
And you can put it in the tank to stop the fuel surging. So
Wow.
John Surtees gave Dave this stuff. I thought, well, that's pretty damn good.
Gosh.
And then he said, but of course, you need a bike to flex. The riders like to feel a flex in the bike.
Yeah.
And with our monocoque, there was no flex whatsoever. It was only the suspension doing the work. And I always remember Dave telling me that, about that. You know.
Steve, a number of people would be interested, I'm sure, in your thoughts on your actual design of that monocoque. Where did that come from?
Design, when Steve and Dave came up to discuss what we were going to do, I said, what do you want it to look like? And Steve Dunton said, well, we're dealing with Suzuki. If you can make it look a bit like a Katana, which was a really super bike.
The big one.
He said, make it look a bit like a Katana. And so that's how we did it. I actually used the Katana lines to get an idea.
Right.
And then we just did it to suit, you know.
Yes. So following up from there through the 80s, the next, from the alloy monocoque through to 83 with the Kevlar.
Yes.
Can you take us through that period, Stephen, and how that originated? And
that was pretty. Dave came back from Europe. He was pretty good. He ended up going via Australia, doing the major series there called the Swan Series.
Right.
And he won that on the bike, which is great.
Yeah.
He came back to New Zealand and did the Suzuki race meetings here and did very well here too, which was a winner. And then he said he was going. It was nearly had a contract with the Suzuki factory in England, Suzuki GP. But Barry Sheen stepped in and took his ride. Well, fair enough, because I mean Barry was let's face it, to come back to racing and he was a real star. So Dave missed out, and he was pretty down.
Yeah.
And he came up and we were discussing things, and he said, what can I do?
Yeah.
And we just discussed the things. I said, well, why don't we make a plastic one, a Kevlar one?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I was thinking of carbon fibres, I was thinking at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I don't know about plastic. It was quite funny. I said, hey, Dave, if you had a crash helmet, would you have an aluminium crash helmet or a fiberglass crash helmet? He said, oh, goodbye, fiberglass. I said, well, you've got an aluminium bike there.
Yeah.
So what about?
Yeah.
And that's how it, just
Is
a
that-
silly
yeah,
discussion, but that's how it went.
Right.
And so we just used the aluminium monocoque as a mould, and literally made a fiberglass,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
Kevlar
Yes. Yeah.
thing on it. We
Yeah.
did tests with the fibres. We had a carbon fibre bit, the Kevlar bit, and a fiberglass bit, and smashed them all with a hammer.
Yes. Yeah.
The Kevlar didn't break.
Right. Yeah.
Carbon fibres shattered,
Right.
and the glass fibre cracked like crazy.
Right.
So
Right.
I decided, well, we'll make it in Kevlar.
Yeah.
If it goes down the road, at
Yes.
least we've got a chance.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating because at this point that goes ahead. That bike gets built
Yes.
by
yeah.
you, and Dave goes back into racing.
He went back into racing.
Yep.
He got to. He was in South Africa at the time, and we sent the finished article over to him in South Africa.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Pops provided another motor.
Yes.
Through Rod Coleman, of
Right.
course. It was
Yes.
all sponsored by Rod, which is, when you think about it,
Yeah.
the whole deal from way back,
Yeah.
right the way through, was Rod's
Right.
brainchild.
Yes.
And they put the bike together over there.
Yeah.
First meeting was the Isle of Man. First time out on the track, he was nearly 114 miles an hour.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Nearly
Yeah.
114.
That bike.
A lap
Yeah. Yeah.
on a plastic
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was the one he broke the lap record for a
standing start. He might have done.
Yes,
I don't
I'm
know
pretty
about
sure
that,
he
but
did.
I think
Yeah.
someone said something
Yeah.
about it.
So that must have sent shockwaves through the paddock.
Oh, it was a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Dave crashed it at Assen.
Ah,
Had
okay.
a big bang and
Yeah. Yeah.
messed his knees up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
it was
that
horrible.
Yeah. So that ended.
That ended his championship
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But the bike was wrecked. The forks were wrecked.
Yeah.
Fairings were wrecked. But the
And it-
monocoque was still straight.
Was it?
But
Yeah.
the swinging arm,
Yeah.
the subframe, the swinging arm must have really bounced up, and it changed the progressive linkage in the suspension.
Right. So what happened to that bike, Steve?
Oh, that one. Well,
Particular machine?
well,
Did it come back?
It came back to New
Yeah.
Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave got it to the Swan Series, but it still didn't perform properly.
Right.
The-
Right. Yeah.
He couldn't get the linkage right, the progressive linkage and the
Yeah.
suspension correct.
Yeah.
And so it came back here,
Yeah.
or we played about with it here, and he managed to get the New Zealand Championship on it, which was lovely.
Right.
And then
Right.
from there on,
Yeah.
it went to Robert Holden.
Right.
And
Right.
Robert rode that bike.
Right.
He rode it. I don't think he won every race he went in on it except the
Yeah.
Bathurst race.
Right. Right. Yeah. From there, it also was put up as an entry into Inventor of the Year, all categories. No, that was a big deal in those days.
Yes, it was.
a major New Zealand competition
Yeah.
for the Inventor of the Year.
Oh, that's right.
And
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in 1983, that was you.
What happened was TV got in touch with me one day. They rang up and it rang here and said, can we come and interview you, read this bike of yours? And I said, well, we can if you want to, but what's this about? He said, oh, you've been entered for the Inventors of the Year award or something.
Yes.
I said, no, I haven't. He said, yes, you have. Pam and Ralph, between the two of them, entered the bike into the competition. I didn't know a thing about it until TV ended up coming out here and interviewing me and talking about it, you know. It was very, very good.
That must give you, Steve, enormous satisfaction looking back in terms of a high point in your career and work of designing, particularly the plastic fantastic, as it's become known.
Oh, I suppose it could be, yeah. Well, been lots of highlights in my
career.